It's all the insurance companies. Remember, for everything, you pay for this. The dubious war industry, the social welfare industry, the criminal industrial complex that drives crime. The primary driver of crime is people lose it because they can't handle the financial pressure, the fears and woes and challenges that they face. These are the weaker links that are just snapping right and left. They lose it. They'll commit suicide. They'll commit crimes. They do stupid things in their desperation, in their deep fear. This is what drives it. So understand, these are enormous sums of money that we're all paying out as consumers. And I want to point out, about this tax thing. Remember, your cost of living is a tax. If you need it to survive, and that's what the tax man says, hey, you pay this tax, damn it, or you know what, we're coming after you. We'll take your stuff, or we could put you in jail. That's it, end of story. So yeah, that's a big driver to people to pay their taxes to the government body that they owe the taxes to. But there's really no appreciable difference between a cost of living tax that you need that is imperative to you continuing to exist, to survive. So let's be very clear about that. That if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, okay, in all likelihood it's a duck, so it's a tax. That's it. So, when it comes to regulations, consumer protection stuff, okay, this needs to be understood across the board that it's not just taxes to the government that's bad, it's the cost of living tax that's bad. It can't be a case where, well, it benefits this group, so why are you calling it bad? And it helps us to get these public services done and all this, so yeah. And then I hear all these people that are pro the gas tax here in California. That's like saying you're pro coin clipping. Or yes, I'm for you taking more of my dollar and just in perpetuity. I get it. I mean, if somebody's selling less, this is the new capitalism. It's turned supply and demand capitalism on its head. Well, we're selling less of this product. So instead of the price going down because the demand went down, you understand how this works, supply and demand. I mean, if the demand increases dramatically, well, yeah, that's justification. We're going to raise your price until we can, catch up so we can produce more and meet the demands and meets the supply that the public demands. We get it. Okay, so that's when they can take this supply and demand for opportunity to raise your price temporarily, just like in a drought. It's a temporary thing, though. We're going to clip a little more off. We got to subsidize this industry because we got to hire people and we got to, buy more implements and tools in order to produce what the public wants, what they demand. Okay, but this idea of turning it on its head and that, now suddenly we understand. I mean, this industry, this agency, these individuals, this group of individuals, this interest group, this special interest group, they're selling less of their stuff, so they've got to raise the price. Do you understand? Because you get it, right? Because they're selling less, they've got to charge more. If they were selling just as much, well, they wouldn't have to raise the price, right? But they were raising their prices anyhow because they could. When we're talking about essential human needs, this is how they get away with it. I'm not talking about luxury items, trinkets, knickknacks, anything else. I don't care about those things. You let them manipulate those things till they're blue in the face. They can't get away with it because the public will just say, well, I don't need that crap. Only the people that are very financially well-heeled will go out and purchase those commodities. I'm talking about basic human needs, which are very few. Food, housing, water, and energy needs. Okay, so very few services and commodities are related to those things. So why is it that we're all taxed out, that people are living one paycheck away from being homeless? Because that's what's happened here through a long period of injustice, financial, economic, political, social injustice, okay? For at least, like I said, for 55 years since the assassination of JFK, this has been happening. This steady trajectory of a downward slide, okay, this coin clipping, this is what it's all about. Or like you could envision taking a pair of scissors to your dollar. It starts out, it's this big, okay, this worth this much, and then they just take little chunks out that everything that you need in your life costs you more and more and more. And some people, I mean, I don't know if they're just stupid, they're just being intellectually dishonest, or that, I don't know what's going on, but they justify this. I mean, this is what makes me nuts about Alex Jones. When I hear him talking about this and saying, well, we need a boom for the people and all this boom and bust BS. I mean, it's just madness to me. And people don't get it. I mean, what are we talking about? Boom. When the price of stuff goes up, okay, if it's stuff you can't get away from, again, I'm just talking about essential human needs here, then it's bad. It's always bad. It's coin clipping. Okay, that's it. It's a tax, and that tax just gets higher and higher and higher. They keep raising the bar higher and higher and higher. So the message is work harder and harder and harder. Yes, that nut's going to get harder and harder to crack. You see the writing on the wall. Adjust to it, get used to it, conform to it, comply to it, acquiesce to it, capitulate to it. Get over it, get on with it. Adjust to the social Darwinian reality that you have been dealt. This the hand you've been dealt here. And just, do something. Pull a rabbit out of the hat. Go to school, get a great education, or go out there and be an entrepreneur, and just, it's only you that's keeping you from being financially successful. And all this rhetoric that, and even if it's unsaid rhetoric, it's in the air, okay? It's just vibratory. It's osmotic, okay? This is the message that we're being sent, okay? And it's madness to me. It really is utter madness to me that, people don't understand that coin clipping is always bad. That's currency debasement. And it's done through raising your cost of living tax. And you could lump your actual taxes that you pay to some governmental body or entity that you pay those taxes to. It's all part and parcel. If you can't get away from it, for instance, if it's driving your car and you got to buy gas and pay your registration fees, okay, then that's a tax. You understand? And that's part of this cost of living tax that I'm talking about. So you lump it all together, the stuff you can't get away from, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, more and more pernicious, bad. Pernicious, a fancy word for bad, okay? But you understand that these things aren't happening by coincidence. They're not happening accidentally. They're not even happening through incompetence or stupidity. It's by deliberation. It's by evil genius, careful planning. By these same evildoers I talked about, this caliber, these are the top money lovers. And it goes back to the teachings of Jesus in the Bible, that this is the root of all evil, is this love of money, and who loves it the most, and who is teaching us that this is the way to success. This is the way to freedom, is to be well-heeled financially, make a lot of money, become one of us, okay? And that is the answer, is through your freedom, to your problems, okay, is individual. You just think about old number one. It's a rat race, man. Get with it. It's dog eat dog out there. Social Darwinism. Okay, so that's the message that these people send us, even if it's a silent message. That's just our paradigm. That's just the way it is. I mean, get used to it. Have some common sense. Be practical. Be pragmatic and fit in. Go along to get along. Go with the flow. Okay, don't upset the apple cart. Go with the status quo. Don't rock the boat too much here. You can bitch and complain, but nobody's going to listen to you. You don't have any power. But I'm here to say we all have a vast amount of power, okay? And I want to make sure that people understand that there's only one way to believe certain things. Sometimes there's just a right and a wrong. There's really no debate. And coin clipping is always wrong because it's theft. It's a stealth way to steal from you, sneaky, cunning. And a lot of people don't get it. I'm telling you, they just don't understand that somebody's got to say, no, the buck stops here, okay? And even if it hurts you personally, then you've got to somehow fight. Say, it's hurting me, it's hurting me. I don't want to raise the price for my services or my commodity or the combination thereof. I don't want to hurt the people, my clients, my customers, the general public, whoever I'm serving out there and offering my services and commodities to. So I'm not going to charge anymore, damn it. I'm not. The buck stops here. And we all have to do that, say that in unison. Okay, and you understand this whole Democrat, Republican, socialist, capitalist, conservative, liberal thing. It just vanishes. It just dissipates. It goes away as we unify and understand that we're up against the same group of monsters that have told us that we are each other's enemies and got us at each other's throats while they hide in the shadows and pull the strings. They keep pulling the strings, and they don't want you to get it. They don't want you empowered to go out there and for us to unify and speak as one voice. They don't want peace in the land. They don't like the peacemakers like myself, the unifiers like myself. These voices for saying, you know what? Screw all that minutia BS that they're feeding you. Okay, these little differences. Do you understand what is good socialism? Explain that to me. Ask the next socialist, and the socialist can ask, what is good capitalism? And what would you explain to me what you know about supply and demand? Okay, and what is progress? Okay, according to supply and demand, and what are your conservative values? I see David Knight. I mean, he's choking up, almost in tears about this abortion issue. It's near and dear to his heart. And I say, how does he, I ask him, how does he feel about making sure that we don't have any financially desperate women in the land? Ask him if he thinks that would help remediate the problem and curb abortions, the numbers of abortions. So if he's sincere, if he's real, and I believe he is for sure, then how does he feel about a basic income then? But I think he knows that his boss, Alex Jones, is opposed to that, even though Martin Luther King Jr., who he's constantly vaunting the virtues of Martin Luther King Jr., Alex Jones likes Martin Luther King Jr., but he won't talk about that being one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s key precepts and values, was this idea that, look, solve the problem. There's more than one way to skin the cat, and that cat is an unfair social, political, and economic system. And remember, economics is key to the control of the other ones, to the welfare of the social cohesion in the land, and us getting along, the sense of contentment and peace and freedom, all those good things that we all want, pivot on the economic welfare of the people. Okay, and the premise, okay, for this basic income, which I believe is very American, very constitutional, very godly thing, is just that you're going to solve a problem. And yes, there's many ways to do it, but we're not doing it. We're not doing any of those things. We're not implementing sound economic policies that would allow prosperity across the board gradually, okay, through the opposite of currency debasement. That means your cost of living tax is constantly in decline, okay, which is opposite to the direction it's been taken for at least 55 years. And I know it's more than that, because if you go back to 1913, at the inception of the Federal Reserve, okay, it's been going on. Currency debasement's been going a long time. That's why JFK was interested in get rid of the Federal Reserve, calling them incompetent or whatever, but really knowing they were evil. So, there was evil people running the show. But he didn't want to come out and use those kind of words. But he did point out to these secret societies and how abhorrent that was to the American spirit. But understand that would have happened. And this is the worst nightmare for the evildoers, is just that people start getting it. They understand. You see, if a basic income would also is fiscally prudent, it is fiscally conservative to do this. I could cut your taxes dramatically if we had a basic income, because crime would plummet overnight. Right away, what the hell? I'm employed in the criminal industrial complex. I'm a jailer. I'm a clerk at a court, or I'm an attorney or judge, or I'm in law enforcement. So what kind of an idiot would want to take away desperate poverty if it meant, dramatically lowering the crime rate? Really, I mean, that's the thinking of the world. I mean, I sound sardonic here, but I'm just taking the devil's advocate. I'm just saying this is how we've been trained to be insane. To say, well, my job security is more important to the welfare of society as a whole. That's the madness we all live under. We're told accept it, capitulate to it, acquiesce to it. Get used to it, man. Get comfortable with this scene, man. It's just going to get worse and worse. And yeah, kill yourself if you want, but don't try to bring down the status quo and the establishment. What kind of an a-hole are you? You see. And on and on. I mean, the welfare industrial complex with a basic income. All those jobs, vast amount, millions maybe are employed in the social welfare industrial complex, social workers and whatnot. Okay, so what? What do you mean? But a lot of these are decent people that got the job because they believed in social justice and everything like that. So, they will get it. You see, and everybody needs to get it. I'm not anybody's enemy. I'm not an enemy to the rich. Rich people can be good people. Understand that this is more to do with seeing through the lies and the deceptions. Face it, if your currency keeps increasing in worth, you're going to be able to buy more with your money. So let's say you've got big real estate holdings. Let's say you own 100 houses and apartments or whatever, maybe a few apartment complexes, big real estate mogul. And suddenly they take away Section 8 housing, let's say. So this big $50 billion a year welfare subsidy, massive, to this, supplement people that can't afford to pay their own housing costs. You take that away, and suddenly all these people are either going to be out on the streets, or if you as a landlord, you're going to say, I've got to dramatically reduce my rents or else I'm going to lose these people. I know the government's been paying 90% of the rent. And even if you don't even rent to Section 8 people, the entire industry is propped up by this. You're going to be able to get a lot less money, okay, because there's going to be a lot of vacancies out there as these people leave their, their rent-controlled, their Section 8 housing, okay? So there's going to be an awful lot of vacant housing you're going to have to compete with.